All right guys, welcome back to the 1969 Camaro build. We've kind of fell silent on this project for a little bit because we've been waiting on a Pro Charger. The owner decided to put a Pro Charger on it. So we've got a Pro Charger in, and we've decided to route all aluminum piping for the Pro Charger, and well, needless to say, it's just taking just a little bit of time. So with that being said, we decided to do a quick paint job on the car. Paint job just wasn't up to my specs, and we really didn't like the rally striping on the car. So we're gonna do a little different striping on the car and just give it a quick paint job. So as you see, we kind of got carried away with smoothing the body out. We are ready for the first coat of primer, and I just blocked it down right quick. I didn't run the camera because I didn't want my camera out there in the Bondo booth getting all nasty and sorts. So I decided just to pick it up right here, the video filming, and I just used the original paint. It had a decent paint job on it, but it had some slight waves going down it. And then as you see here on the doors, like the edges and the gaps, they just weren't up to specs that I would like this car to be. So I decided to give it just a little bit of smoothing and a quick overall paint job and go from there. So that's what we're doing today. We've got the car ready to go. It's taped up in the booth, as you see here, and we're gonna throw some primer on it, get it blocked down one more time, try to get some paint on this bad dude. So, all right, so today I'm gonna be running Valspar epoxy primer for a sealer coat. Lock everything down on the old Bodywork and old paint, so it's a 999 VP50. You probably picked up on there already. Oh, all right. This little hardener up in there. Closable lid, little PPS system. Take it all together. I'm going to use a primer gun, which is the 3M PPS gun today. All right, step in here, still a little fumy, but here's coat one on the primer. It's epoxy primer, so it's got corrosion protectant in it. That's the main reason for sealing it with epoxy, is it holds everything down, creates a real tight bond to the finish that's there. It's just the shit is what it is. So epoxy primer's on. We're gonna give it 2 hours because I sprayed it on a little heavy, and we're gonna come in with some Evercoat Super Build 4-to-1. Put on top of that, we'll be ready to pull this dude out of the booth. So stay tuned. So I'm blocking the hood out on this, and really there's nothing wrong with the hood. It has no dents. It's pretty smooth. It's just got some heavy orange peel in it, but we're getting rid of the racing stripes on it. These rally stripes, just really not the look that we're going for. They're cool, I like them, not just on this overall vehicle that we're doing. In order to get these stripes off, if you sand it down with a soft block, you will always be able to see the stripes, the outline of the stripes in it. So I've got an acrylic block here. It's a real hard acrylic block, and that's what I'm blocking this down with. So I'm going to block these stripes, the edges of these stripes down with this, and I'm using 120 for right now, just to kind of get it knocked down. Then I'm going to come back with a dual action sander and sand it. All right, so we got the Camaro primed yesterday, and it's ready to be put back on the rack and get sand it down a little bit. So today we've set the booth up to do the parts. Parker back here, he's mixing the epoxy. So we're gonna put an epoxy coat back on to seal everything off. And we'll put a couple coats of high build urethane primer on top of that. And then they'll be ready to be thrown back over in the Bondo Bay and get smoothed out. All right, so Parker got the paint mixed and I'm gonna give him the opportunity to pull the trigger on the paint gun today. So he's gonna be laying the primer out and he's just giving her hell right now. It's paint week for the 69 Camaro. We've got all the parts that are bolt on in the booth and prepped, ready to go. Booth is cleaned out. We're excited. We're ready to put a seal coat down, get some linen white base coat thrown on here, and get about 6 coats of clear. That's right, 6 coats of clear. We'll get that white that deep. We've cleaned the Bondo booth out, and I'm in the middle of taping it up so we can do some touch-up paint work on the door jambs. While I'm doing that, Bryce has been in here setting up the paint booth for me. So let's stay tuned here and let's get this little car painted up. All right, so I have got, here we go. We've got some sealer mixed up here, some Valspar 999 VP50 epoxy, one of the best on the market in my personal opinion. We got Spanky back here trying to get me an air hose set up. He's in hose heaven right now, so I'm ready to spray if we can get him lined out on my air hose. He likes playing with hose. Don't let it come back and whoop you. I could already been done spraying primer. What is wrong with it? Just push the hose back in and recouple it. Like a brand new gun when you put a brand new tip on an old looking gun like that. Got the booth preheated to a 75 degrees. That is Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna lay this sealer coat down and all right, today we're gonna be running the Matrix MS42 clear. This is a very high solids clear. It's a 2-to-1 mix. That dude's laying down really nice. But time for a refill, and my gun is all sticky, and that's a good sign because that means that it's not actually drying in the air. A really good sign. That means our booth conditions are set perfect. We're fixing to mix another round and give it a few minutes. Back in action. Here we are, day 3 or 2 or 3, I think, I'm not sure, something like that. Painting the Camaro out. We let these dry overnight, and before we break the booth down and swap over to paint the body of the car, we're gonna give you a walkthrough of just how slick that this paint job turned out. let that flash off roughly about 10 minutes. We'll go tack it off, take our sun gun, make sure that we haven't missed any spots. All right, base coat's flashed off. We're gonna tack it off, and I like using my sunlight, tack it off, that way I can see any imperfections in the paint at the same time to see if we've got adequate coverage. So we're gonna bust the lights off, and I'm gonna tack this dude off. You see our sunlight here, we can tell how our coverage is. And it looks like we've got real adequate coverage, but I'm gonna go through and we're gonna tack as we look. And if you see here, look, see how you tack that off? You can see exactly if I miss any spots or not. All this is just dried overspray. Just dry overspray in the air. Dust trapped under your clear coat. So I'm gonna thin this coat down a little bit more. That way it lays out more even. Woo! Cat-like reflexes, did you see that? Mm-hmm. There we have it. We're going to let that flash off. We're going to set up to shoot some clear and get this bad boy wrapped up. Now, you guys probably at this point have 100 questions about painting a car, how I paint a car, my recipe for how we paint a car, my booze, carpets, products, all of that. I'm sure the questions are there. Give me some questions, I'll give you the answer. I've been painting for over 25 years. There's not much that I haven't sprayed. There's not many products that I have not used out there. I've got my technique very lined out on my end, but I can always help somebody else. I'm not a teacher, but I'll be willing to give it a shot. All right, here we go. Suit up, time to rock out. Paint job on the Camaro's done. It laid out good, all flat, all smooth. No bugs, no runs, no complaints. So we're good, we're shiny, and I can't be more pleased with it. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave us some comments, maybe some likes to our video, and continue to watch so we can bring you more good content. Today, we're gonna have some fun. That tape already. So the back of this Camaro, I honestly think just looks plain and boring, and I feel that I can make it look a lot better. So we are a pro touring look, we are a pro touring car, so we gotta make it pro touring, right? We gotta make it look pro touring. We gotta make it be more badass than it is badass. So I wanna paint this an ugly gray color. Flat too. I think that's the thing now, ain't it? Anyway, if it ain't, we're gonna make it the thing, right? A lot of times they do like a vinyl graphic or something. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna make that panel gray.
I thought you meant painting that whole back piece gray.
All right, you ready to do this today?
Yeah.
I got Who's Your Daddy Spanky on the backside running the camera today. He keeps wearing this hat. Fucking Hoosier.
Look at that. Hoosier.
Well, who's your daddy? Who's your racing tire? Who's your racing tire?
I ain't got a racing tire. No specific one.
Well, why are you wearing the hat? It says,
because
who's your racing tire? Well, I don't know. I mean, I usually run. Boom, all taped up. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of sanding with a gray Scotch-Brite pad. That way it gives us just a little bit of bite. Our base color bites into our fresh clear coat a little bit better than just laying it over the top. So that's the plan. So I've got a gray Scotch-Brite here. It's a flexible gray Scotch-Brite. And I've got a piece of 800 grit. So what I'm gonna do is this flat panel right through here. See, there's a Chevy bow tie emblem that goes in here. But just to double check that we don't have any fine dust nibs or anything like that on our clear coat, I'm just gonna give this area, I'm just gonna do it dry, fold it over. I'm just gonna rub across it. And you wanna get in that glare of the light. Okay, now that I rubbed across that, if you get in the glare of the light and you look up, and we're looking for dust nibs, and I see one right here. See, we have this dust nib and we've got a little imperfection in the paint right there. So that's why I'm using my 800. So now I can take and I don't know that I'll be able to get it all the way out. Well, I almost got it all the way out. Now see that? There's still a little imperfection in the paint there, but that's great. See how that dust nib disappeared and it's gone now? And that's what I'm looking for. That'll give us a flatter finish on putting this flat charcoal paint down. All right. All right, so we're tacked up, and I don't want to let this dry all the way before I start pulling my tape. So I'm gonna go ahead and start untaping it and get our tape lines pulled, and we'll just sit back and watch the paint dry. That's it right there. Turned out phenomenal. I'm gonna set up and get ready to build the rear end of the car out, get the trunk deck, bumper, license plate, all that good stuff on it. And we're just gonna keep inching our way to the front. Stay tuned.